I can't hide my wedding anymore. For a long time, I tried to keep it quiet, tucked away from the noise, from the opinions, from the world that always thinks it has a vote in your happiness. I told myself it was safer that way, safer to move in silence, safer to love in the shadows, safer to protect something sacred from being misunderstood. But there comes a moment in a man's life when hiding joy feels heavier than carrying pain. And I realized something: when you hide your truth, you slowly start hiding from yourself. This isn't just about a wedding, it's about courage. It's about standing in the light of your own decisions. It's about saying, "This is my life, this is my love, and I'm not apologizing for it." We spend so much time worrying about what people will say. Will they approve? Will they judge? Will they stay? But the real question is, will you stay loyal to your own heart? Overcoming "I can't hide my wedding anymore" is really about overcoming fear. Fear of being seen, fear of being vulnerable, fear of choosing happiness without asking permission. Today, I'm choosing not to shrink. I'm choosing not to whisper my joy. I'm choosing to own it fully, unapologetically, and without regret. Because love is not something you hide. Love is something you stand for. I used to think silence was strength. I used to believe that the less people knew, the safer I would be, that if I kept my happiness folded neatly behind closed doors, no one could touch it, no one could question it, no one could try to break it. So I hid my wedding, not because I was ashamed, not because it wasn't real, but because the world can be loud. And loud voices have a way of crawling into your head, planting doubt where there was once certainty. I told myself I was protecting something sacred, but the truth, I was protecting myself from being seen. There's a difference. When you hide your pain, people understand. When you hide your struggle, they call it privacy. But when you hide your joy, when you hide your commitment, when you hide the person you chose to stand beside for the rest of your life, that's not privacy. That's fear wearing a calm face. I know fear. I've walked with it for years. Fear of loss, fear of loss, fear of judgment, fear of letting something beautiful exist in a world that sometimes feeds on tearing beautiful things apart. So I kept it quiet. I smiled in public and loved in private. I answered questions with half-truths. I changed the subject. I learned how to dodge curiosity like it was a sport. I convinced myself that mystery was maturity. But every time I avoided saying the word wife, something inside me felt smaller. Every time I pretended it was just another day, when in reality my life had changed forever. I felt like I was dimming a light that deserved to shine. You see, hiding happiness does something to you. It chips away at your sense of worth. It whispers that your joy is too fragile to survive exposure. It tells you that what you've built can't handle scrutiny. And if you listen long enough, you start believing it. I don't want to live like that. I don't want to love like that. There is something powerful about saying out loud, "I am married," not because it impresses anyone, not because it proves anything, but because it declares something. It declares that I chose. In a world obsessed with keeping options open, I closed a door and locked it with intention. In a culture that romanticizes freedom without responsibility, I chose commitment. That choice deserves to stand in the daylight. For a long time, I thought keeping my wedding hidden was humility. I thought it meant I wasn't seeking attention. I thought it meant I was keeping what mattered close to my chest. But humility is not shrinking. Humility is knowing what you have and still standing tall with it. There's a quiet kind of courage in love, the kind that doesn't need applause, the kind that doesn't need applause, the kind that doesn't post every moment, the kind that doesn't perform. But there's also a different kind of courage, the courage to let the world know that you are not alone anymore, that you found someone, that you chose someone, that someone chose you back, and that mutual choice is not something you're hiding in the shadows. I realized that every time I avoided the truth, I was denying the weight of my promise. A wedding is not a party. It's not a photo. It's not a photo. It's not a headline. It's a vow. It's standing in front of another human being and saying, I will stay. And when you hide that, even unintentionally, you water down the power of that moment. I can't hide my wedding anymore because I don't want to hide my growth anymore. Marriage changed me, not into someone perfect, not into someone who has it all figured out, but into someone who understands responsibility in a deeper way. It taught me patience when my instinct was to retreat. It taught me communication when silence felt easier. It taught me that love is not just a feeling you fall into, it's a decision you wake up and recommit to every single day. And why would I hide that transformation? Why would I pretend that I'm still standing alone when I'm not? There was a time when being independent meant everything to me, standing on my own, carrying my own weight, not needing anyone. And I still value strength, but I've learned something else. Strength is not the absence of partnership. Strength is allowing someone to stand beside you without feeling diminished. When I hid my wedding, I told myself I was protecting my partner from the noise. But what I was really doing was protecting myself from vulnerability. Because once people know you're married, they know you have something to lose. And admitting you have something to lose is terrifying. It means your heart is invested. It means your future is intertwined. It means your decisions affect more than just you. And that kind of exposure requires bravery. I've lived enough life to know that nothing is guaranteed. I've seen how quickly things can change. I've experienced loss that reshapes the way you see the world. So maybe part of me believed that if I kept my wedding quiet, I could somehow shield it from fate, as if silence could outsmart destiny. But love doesn't ask for guarantees, it asks for presence. And presence requires honesty. I don't want to be the man who hides the best thing in his life because he's afraid it might be taken away. I want to be the man who says, this is mine, this is real, and I'm grateful for it. There's power in gratitude, expressed openly. When you hide your blessings, you unintentionally treat them like secrets. And my marriage is not a secret. It's a commitment. It's shared mornings. It's late night conversations. It's disagreements that end in understanding. It's choosing kindness when ego wants to win. It's two imperfect people trying every day. Why would I reduce that to something that needs to stay hidden? I can't hide my wedding anymore because I refuse to live halfway. Half truths create half lives, and I want a full one. A full life means standing by your choices, publicly and privately. It means not adjusting your story depending on who's asking. It means not pretending to be unattached when your heart is clearly anchored. Some people hide their weddings because they want attention. Some hide it because they fear criticism. Some hide it because they fear criticism. Some hide it because they're not fully sure about their decision. I hid mine because I was still learning how to be comfortable with visible happiness. There's something vulnerable about joy. Pain can be guarded. You can build walls around it. But joy wants to move. It wants to breathe. It wants to breathe. It wants to be acknowledged. And when you suffocate it, it starts to feel smaller. I don't want small joy. I want the kind of joy that stands upright. The kind that doesn't flinch when someone raises an eyebrow. The kind that doesn't flinch when someone raises an eyebrow. The kind that says, yes, I did this and I would do it again. It's not losing yourself. It's not giving up freedom. It's choosing a direction. It's saying, out of all the paths, I'm walking this one with you. That choice is powerful, and powerful things don't need to hide. I know the world watches. I know opinions come quickly and without invitation. I know some people will question it, analyze it, try to measure it against their own standards. That's fine, because at the end of the day, the only two people who truly understand the vow are the two who made it, and I'm done pretending that vow doesn't exist. I'm done acting like my life is unchanged. I'm done editing my truth to make it more comfortable for strangers. I can't hide my wedding anymore because hiding it feels like denying a chapter of my own story. And I've learned that when you deny parts of your story, you lose pieces of your identity. This is part of mine, not the glamorous part, not the cinematic part, the real part, the part where you wake up early and make coffee for someone else, the part where you compromise, the part where you apologize, the part where you grow. If we're going to talk about strength, let's talk about the strength it takes to stay. Let's talk about the strength it takes to choose the same person on the days when it's not easy. Let's talk about the strength it takes to admit, I need you, without feeling weak. For years, I believed that mystery was power. Now I understand that authenticity is power. There is nothing powerful about hiding something beautiful out of fear. There is something deeply powerful about saying, this is my life, this is who I stand beside, and I'm proud of it. Not proud in an arrogant way, proud in a grateful way, proud in a grounded way, proud in a way that says, I know what this means. I can't hide my wedding anymore because I don't want to live in fragments. I want alignment. Alignment between what I say and what I live. Alignment between what I show and what I feel. Alignment between my private promises and my public presence. Marriage aligned me. It forced me to confront parts of myself I used to ignore. It challenged my habits. It softened my habits. It softened my edges. It made me more patient. It made me more accountable. Those changes deserve acknowledgement, and so does the person who stood with me while they happened. If I hide my wedding, I hide her, and she is not something to hide. She is a partner, an equal, a witness to my worst days and a believer in my best ones. There's courage in saying, I am committed, not just in a romantic sense, in a disciplined sense, in a loyal sense, in a no matter what sense. We live in a time where people celebrate options more than decisions, where keeping doors open is seen as smart. But there is a different kind of wisdom in closing a door and locking it from the inside, in saying, I'm not looking anywhere else. That clarity is freeing, and I won't disguise it anymore. I can't hide my wedding anymore because I'm not hiding who I am anymore. And who I am now is someone who chose love without conditions, someone who chose permanence in a temporary world, someone who chose permanence in a temporary world, someone who understands that vulnerability is not exposure, it's strength expressed honestly. I stand here not as a man who has everything figured out, but as a man who stopped running from being seen. And sometimes the most powerful thing you can say is simple. I am married. Real love demands courage, not secrecy. We like to think love is soft, gentle, easy, effortless, but real love is none of those things all the time. Easy, effortless. Real love is brave. It asks you to stand in front of the world and say, this is who I choose, not once, not just on a wedding day, but over and over again, especially when it would be easier to stay quiet. Secrecy feels safe. It feels controlled. When nobody knows, nobody can interfere, nobody can question, nobody can try to shake what you've built. But secrecy also builds distance. When you hide your love, you slowly start treating it like something fragile, like it can't survive air, light, or opinion. And the moment you believe your love can't survive pressure, you've already weakened it. Courage is different. Courage says, I don't need approval. Courage says, I'm willing to be seen. There is a weight that comes with being seen. Once people know you're committed, they see you differently. They measure you differently. They hold you to a different standard. And that's not a bad thing. Because commitment should change how you carry yourself. It should make you more intentional with your words, more careful with your actions, more aware that your life is now intertwined with someone else's. That awareness takes strength. Real love demands that you step out from behind the curtain of convenience. It demands that you stop acting single when you're not. It demands that you stop pretending you're unattached when your heart is already anchored. And that can be uncomfortable because when you declare love publicly, you also declare responsibility publicly. You're saying, I am accountable to someone In a world that glorifies independence without attachment, that kind of accountability feels radical, but it's also powerful. Courage and love doesn't mean broadcasting every detail. It doesn't mean turning your relationship into a performance. It means not denying it. It means not minimizing it. It means not minimizing it. It means not shrinking it to fit other people's comfort. There will always be voices. Some will say you moved too fast. Some will say you changed. Some will say you gave up freedom. Let them speak. Courage is not the absence of noise. It's the decision to stand firm despite it. When you love someone deeply, you stop living only for yourself. Your decisions carry weight. Your time carries meaning. Your loyalty becomes visible, and visibility becomes visible. And visibility is what most people are afraid of, because once something is visible, it can be judged. But if your love is built on truth, judgment can't break it. It can only test it. And tests reveal strength. Real love is not hiding in the back row. It's standing in the front, calm and steady, saying, "This matters to me." It's looking at the person beside you and knowing that even if the world shifts, your stance won't. Secrecy is comfortable in the short term. Courage builds peace in the long term. When you stop hiding, you stop splitting yourself in two. You stop being one version in private and another in public and another in public. You become whole, and wholeness is powerful. Love is not meant to be hidden like a weakness. It's meant to be carried like armor, not to fight others, but to protect what you've built. When you openly stand by your partner, you send a message without raising your voice. You say, "I'm here, I'm committed, I'm not entertaining alternatives." That kind of clarity creates respect, not just from others, from yourself, because every time you choose courage over secrecy, you strengthen your own integrity. You prove to yourself that you are not afraid of being known, that you are not afraid of being tied to something meaningful, that you are not afraid of love being real. And when love is real, it doesn't need hiding. It needs honesty. It needs presence. It needs presence. It needs courage. When you own your truth, you reclaim your power. There's something that happens the moment you stop explaining yourself, the moment you stop adjusting your story so it fits other people's expectations, the moment you stop shrinking your decisions to make them easier for someone else to digest. You feel it in your chest first, a steadiness, a quiet strength, because owning your truth is not loud. It's not dramatic. It's not about proving anything. It's about alignment. For a long time, I thought power meant control. Control over how much people knew. Control over how much people knew. Control over the narrative. Control over what parts of my life were visible and what parts stayed behind closed doors. But control is not the same as power. Control is often fear disguised as strategy. Power is different. Power is standing still in your truth without needing to defend it. When you hide something important, like a commitment, like a marriage, like a defining decision, you create a split inside yourself. There's the version of you that knows the full story, and there's the version you present to the world. Maintaining that split is exhausting. It requires constant awareness, constant editing, constant calculation. What did I say before? What did they assume? How much should I reveal? And slowly, you start losing energy, not because your life is heavy, but because your truth is fragmented. The day you decide to own it, something shifts. You stop rehearsing. You stop filtering. You stop walking on invisible lines. You just stand there as you are. Owning your truth doesn't mean everyone will understand it. Some won't. Some will project their fears onto it. Some will question your motives, but their reaction is not your responsibility. Your responsibility is honesty. Your responsibility, when you say, "This is my wife," or "This is my choice," or "This is the life I'm building," you are reclaiming territory that fear once occupied. You are taking back space in your own identity, because every time you hide something meaningful, You unconsciously send yourself a message. This can't handle the light. And when you believe that, you start dimming other parts of yourself too. You become smaller in rooms where you could stand tall. You hesitate when you could speak clearly. You soften truths that deserve to be firm. But when you own your truth, you expand, not aggressively, not arrogantly, naturally. You speak without checking the temperature of the room first. You live without seeking quiet approval. You move with clarity instead of caution. There is power in that kind of clarity. Power is not dominance. Power is self-possession. It's knowing who you are, what you chose, and why you chose it, and not needing to rewrite that story depending on who's listening. When you own your marriage, your commitment, your decisions, you stop living defensively. You start living deliberately. You don't dodge questions. You don't blur lines. You don't pretend your life is different from what it actually is. You simply tell the truth. And truth simplifies everything. It removes the mental gymnastics. It removes the tension of concealment. It removes the quiet anxiety of being found out, even when there was nothing wrong to begin with, because hiding joy can feel like hiding a secret, and secrets, even harmless ones, create pressure. Owning your truth releases that pressure. It lets you breathe fully. It lets you walk into a room and feel integrated, not divided. It lets you introduce the person you love without hesitation. It lets you say the word married without lowering your voice. And that small shift, that refusal to shrink, changes how you see yourself. You start respecting your own decisions more. You start honoring your own commitments more. You stop treating your life like something that needs approval. There's a quiet confidence that comes from ownership. It's not about announcing your truth every 5 minutes. It's about never denying it. It's about never pretending. It's about never apologizing for something that brings you meaning. When you own your truth, you stop asking, will they accept this? And you start asking, am I standing fully in who I am? That question changes everything, because once you answer it honestly, you realize something. You don't need everyone to understand. You just need to stop abandoning yourself. And every time you choose honesty over hiding, you reclaim a piece of yourself that fear tried to take. That's power, not control, not image, not perception, but integrity. The kind of integrity that lets you sleep peacefully, the kind that lets you look at your partner and know you stand beside them without hesitation, the kind that makes your words match your life. When you own your truth, you are no longer negotiating with your own identity. You are living it fully, openly, without shrinking. And in that space where there is no division between who you are and what you show, you become unshakable.